Contrast uncut, yeah, you know that's us. Where we only speak the real and the real rock with us. Where we motivate the people and politic on success. Oh no, we ain't DJ Khaled, but they swearing we the best.
What's happening? It's Contrast Uncut. It's season 5, episode 16. I want to give a huge shout out to Uncle Snoop's Army and Bobby D Presents. I appreciate you, brothers. It's your host, Xylo, and today we had an incredibly dope and legendary special guest. He's from the City of Angels, the land of opportunity, LA, Los Angeles, California, Mid-City to be exact. He's a pioneer to the underground world of rap music. He's a world-renowned and one of the greatest rappers of all time, as well as an entrepreneur, songwriter, festival creator, trendsetter, Guinness World Book of Records holder, and recording artist. When you hear this brother kick a flow on wax or in real life, it literally makes you nod your head and take a ride through the lyrical assassination of his wordplay. His wordplay that makes you think, and his real game and knowledge that you can apply. Like, insert this brother lyrics here to make it to the next level. This brother has paid his dues in the underground world and paved the way for so many artists, festival creators, and label executives to exercise their gift in music and business. Fun fact, this brother did not perform at his own festival until he was not signed to a major anymore. That trait right there is rare, it's genuine, it's passionate, it translates. And for that reason, we are all huge fans of this brother. If you ain't know who I got on the show by now, it's all good. We get all episode to chop it up with, make it underground raw shit. Murs, everybody, how you doing, bruh?
Peace. Thank you, man. That was the best intro I have ever gotten in my entire life, man. Thank you, Xylo. I appreciate you, bro.
Hey, that's love. That's love. You know, time's the most finite thing we have on this earth. I gotta tell you from the jump how much I appreciate your time, fucking with me, and fucking with the viewers and the listeners. Thank you.
Shout out to all y'all.
100. So, Murs, brother, what's a normal 24 hours for you?
Man, normal 24 hours at this stage in my life. Wake up, take my son to his Mandarin day camp way to fucking Torrance, come back to the hood, then immediately take my 2 and 3-year-old out to the park so my wife can have a little bit of time to herself and yoga and prepare lunch, then come back and start tackling all the work I have for the day. Some days it's a interview with someone like yourself. I get to chop it up with another human being, and that's great. You know what I mean? Just to get to relate to an adult on a similar wave. Some days I'm in here trying to record while the kids stay quiet. Then at 1 o'clock, put the kids down. First kid goes down for a nap. I watch the other kid. Then the other kid goes down for the nap. Then I got 2 hours to get some more work done before I head out back to Torrance to pick my kid up. Then come back home and immediately get on Twitch and freestyle for 2 hours from 4 to 6. When those people get off of there, get the kids dinner ready with my wife, feed them, put them in the bath, put them in the bed. Then about 9 o'clock when everything's quiet, me and my wife try to watch at least a half an episode or one episode or something. And then we call it a night and it's back up. Then I'm up at about 5:30, meditate, try to read a little bit before the kids wake up. And that could be from at 6:30, could be as today they gave me those 7:15. So I got 20 pages in and about 30 minutes of meditation and some stretching. And then I was on the run.
That is such a beautiful thing because not only are you expressing the importance of your family, shit, bro, taking care of your home. Like a lot of people dismiss that accountability and responsibility of taking care of your home. And then the other part is you still run your program so you have time to take care of fans like myself and everybody else. And then at the same time, you have time to take care of, you know, the business. And you work your 24 hours like, you know, it's a machine. And, you know, that is something that is rare to see people really utilize every minute of their day.
Yeah, I try, man. I gotta do better at sleeping. But other than that, I'm on it, man. I'm trying to stick to it. And and I'm sure it changed for everybody. So peace to anyone. I heard some people say if you haven't acquired a new skill during the pandemic, it's your fault. And I don't think that's correct, man. Because if you're single, I would say, yeah, if you're single with no children, you might have should have learned something during this time. If you were able to survive, if you had all your needs met, you know what I mean? But if you had kids and you're married or you got a elderly person in your household to take care of, just making it through is amazing. So applaud yourself, whether you learn, or maybe this shit stressed you out and you are single, but you were scared as fuck in the house because you're a germaphobe or whatever, like me. Like, cool, man. Whatever it is, however you came out the other side, if you came out the other side, this motherfucker, pat yourself on the back, man.
Come on. Get a round of applause.
Yeah.
Hey, and then I do gotta salute you, King, from one dedicated father and husband to another. I want to shout you out and give you your flowers for being a dedicated father and husband. As you just parlayed the whole day, you definitely let it know that there's structure to give your wife a break, there's structure for the kids, and that part, bruh, I gotta give you your flowers because so many people lose themselves in that translation of figuring it out.
Yes, it's hard, man. I'm still finding balance. This week I'm on point. You know, I'm gonna leave it to God for next week, but I'm gonna, you know, my heart is always in the right place.
Mm, mm. And see, you're motivating me to inspire me to do better. And that's something I gotta tell you on air. My wife gonna see this like, man, he's over there doing it right. What are you doing? I'm learning.
This week, man. This week I'm on point. Last week I wasn't on point. This week I'm on point.
Well, I learned from the on point husband.
Yeah,
I'm on point myself going forward.
Amen.
Yes, sir. I got a quote for you. Let me know how this quote relates to you.
Okay.
I just want you to speak about it, and you know what comes to you comes out. All right, here we go.
All right.
I'm a builder. I build ideas and give them to people, and they receive them in such a wonderful way. Tech 9.
Oh man, yeah. Well, that I mean, who it comes from is definitely man, it's hard to. I don't know if I would call him a friend, as a friendtor. You know what I mean, like a mentor. You know, I don't think that certain people I feel like I meet in this industry, I don't even allow myself to create a friendship with because I feel like there's just levels to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I guess, yeah, that's why I guess in the hood we have big homie, because that's like there's something that comes with that. Like I don't think in regular parlance of English there's a term for someone like that, but he's definitely a big homie, like in the true sense, you know, gave me game, gave me opportunity, and gave me love. But I wouldn't disrespect him by calling it, because my mom, you know, in a colored household, in a black household for sure, it's always, I'm not one of your little friends. You know what I'm saying? And he's not one of my little friends. Like he's the big homie, you know. So he's broke bread with me. He's giving me opportunity. He's giving me game. And yeah, I like that. He is a builder. And I think all true artists are builders, and blessed to have people, he said, receive it in a certain way. And yeah, man, he's definitely built his own world. And I'm still in the process of trying to build my own world. And that's part of why I signed to Strange, is so that I could learn from him and Travis how they've built this world.
Right.
And the best way to learn how to lead an army is to be a soldier. So being a soldier in a Strange army for a time, and to me, trying to be one of the most responsible and productive soldiers in that army, I learned a lot from him and Trav. But from Tech, that's a beautiful quote, and he definitely is true to that quote, and it's definitely what attracted me to him.
And no, you have definitely inspired, or he inspired you to motivate so that you can continue to build, but allow other people to build in the same craft. As we all know, so many people got put on underneath you, and so many people got put on underneath Tech 9, whether it was being on tour for their first time, or it was opening a big festival for their first time, or being a part of something big for the first time. You know, you and Tech and Travis have played a big role in so many artists' careers.
Yeah,
you guys build.
Yeah, we definitely build and give opportunities. Yeah, I think that's, but I think that's known. Like I don't need to toot my horn on that, and I think it's known. So I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I'm grateful for the people that didn't do that for me, that I looked up to, because I wouldn't have been inspired to do it. You know what I mean?
Because you know, you got contractors, and then you got people that work for the contractors. Come on.
So true.
Talking about being in the music game, did the game choose you, or did you choose the game?
Oh, the game chose me. I always tell people, if it's a choice, you shouldn't do it, because you'll be sad. This is one of the most treacherous and poorly run businesses on the planet Earth. Maybe the poorly. I haven't been in every business, but I've talked to a lot of businessmen. This is a shit show. And if you want to dedicate your life to this, I always tell people, if you worked at McDonald's and you make the fries exactly how you're supposed to make them, follow the recipe, you can deliver them on time, everybody's happy. I can make the album I want, execute my idea perfectly, and then somebody on Twitter is gonna call me a pussy or a punk or whack or trash or a sellout. Just like that. No matter what you do, there's gonna be someone, and now it's even more vocal than before. Before you would have to write a fan mail letter if you hated the Ice Cube album that much, and then he would have to actually read it. Now, we as people don't understand what it's like to be an artist. The bigger you are, the more shit you're gonna get. You know what I mean? And whatever job you work, whenever you had your review, I don't care if your review was 5 years ago. I bet you remember they probably had 10 good things to say about your performance and 3 negative. I bet you remember 0 of the positive and at least all of the negative.
Come on.
Now
Ready
imagine that.
Still.
Huh?
Ready to argue still over that negative bullshit.
Yeah, like I was only late because somebody's in my parking space. And now imagine that every day of your life, on every post you make, on every song you ever made, on every show you ever did, because there's always one. And so I I got off track. Where were we going?
We were talking about pretty much the comments and fan mail because of the game. The universe.
No, yeah. Well, where did you start? I'm trying to get back to.
Back to where I started. I want to know if the game chose you.
Yeah. So that's what. Yeah, that's what in the end, all that will say. If you are choosing to be a part of this, you're gonna quickly unchoose. And those are the people I know that have rapped before. Oh yeah, I used to rap, or oh I rapped a little bit, because when that shit starts piling up, you're gonna make another choice. I never had a choice. And I always use the Bob Marley quote of, they asked him how long he's been a Rasta, and he said ever since. And that's how long I've been a rapper. It was, and I know people use it a lot, like it was in me, not on me. Like, this is just what I had to do. There was no choice. This is who I am. I'm an MC.
I love that quote because I feel a lot of that is what's inside of you. You got to get it out of you so people can understand it. And then you got to put it back on you so that they can respect it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fucking with that.
Yeah. What would you consider your first confirmation that, this is music is what we receive you for, and this was that propelling moment? Would you consider in 97 when you dropped your first project and things were opening up, or would you run it back sooner than that to when you were, just freestyling and people were just lining up to see what you was talking about? Like, at what element was your confirmation that I don't need to go digging down somebody else's career or trying to learn other than this underneath this music umbrella of business and, what you do?
Man, that's I would probably say, I couldn't pinpoint anything, but I would probably say when I dropped Murs Rules the World in like 2000, that's when I kind of felt like I got this. Like I'm gonna make a whole album. I got a studio, I got a producer, I got an engineer. Like, rest of the stuff I was engineering myself, making the tapes myself. By then I had a deal in Japan, and I had done a show for 1,000 people. I had done a couple solo shows in LA. Like, in the Bay, like, I felt, okay, now I'm ready to push. I can make a living at this. And I want to do it right.
Coming from these LA streets, you had a choice to make. Everyone that's grown up in LA, it's an atmosphere. And it's either you allow the atmosphere to absorb you, or you make the atmosphere the reason why you elevated. What was your atmosphere like in West LA, Mid City, from being Nicholas to Murs? And how much did your atmosphere influence your career?
It's everything. I moved from Midtown to North Hollywood to Linwood, back to Midtown. So it's been a bounce. My grandparents, in the Black community, it's always the grandparents' house for the most part. So my grandparents have lived in Midtown my whole life on Cochran. And then I was on Carmona, I was on Burnside, I was on Meadowbrook, I was all around. But with a single mama and also in and out of her tumultuous relationships, that was our foundation. But yeah, man, I would say moving to Glendora, Covina area for 3 years, when not going to junior high in the inner city, saved my life. You know what I mean? My plan was to be from neighborhood crip in the 6th grade. I got to 5th grade, and my mom, that summer we moved. She saved my life. She didn't know, you know what I mean? But like all my homies, like we was getting put on before we went to Hostler High, junior high in Linwood. That was it. We was all getting put on. We knew it. We had seen our older friends get put on. We were next. You know what I mean? Everybody had, all my homies had big brothers from the hood. My big brother, because my stepfather was a janitor, he got busted out to Van Nuys. He had to ride with his dad every morning. That's what saved him. He could hoop, and he got to go to Van Nuys every day at 6 a.m. because he was the plant manager, the head custodian. His ass was in a car, and he didn't get home till after 6. So he never got involved with the neighborhood. But for me, I wasn't his kid, and Van Nuys was a high school, so I was gonna be active. And my neighbor, or not, a dude who lived on our block, couple houses up, stabbed his math teacher in class at Hostler, and my mom was like, "Nope, that's it." And so we went to, and if I hadn't had that break, and hadn't, like I said, you always got to thank the people who fucked up, because the KKK ran the police department till 1978. I got called a nigger and had to fight skinheads. My first day at day camp, and we got there. Of course, my mom never stopped working. She dropped us off at a park. Kid thought it was fly to call my little brother a nigger and knocked out his tooth. She had to come all the way back to pick me up. And I just, it's so many things of me having to fight, and just for being black. So when we finally got back to Midtown in 9th grade, I was just happy to be around us. And I'm like, man, this is great. And they was tripping on each other. I was like, bro, I would never, ever again let a set, a color, anything put me at a point where I have to kill another black person. Like that it didn't compute to me. I was like, because 30 minutes away, there are people who hate us and want to kill us for our color of our skin. And because now we have this opportunity to live amongst one another in peace, and we're not utilizing this opportunity. They don't want us to win, and we have all the necessary things to win. The education is not the best, but it's better than it was in the 60s and 70s. You know what I mean?
Right.
The jobs aren't the best, but it's better than it was for our generation. If we would stop killing each other and selling each other dope long enough to work together, we'd be unstoppable. And I can never unsee that. And I don't fault my brothers who fell victim to it, because I was on the same path. And had it been for two hardworking black parents at the time, for the brief time I had two hardworking black parents, I wouldn't have said it. I wouldn't have been able to say that. So I'm never judging. I'm sympathetic, but I can't get with that program.
You brought up such a critical time, because in that time, in the late 70s and early 80s, they were literally moving people, like all the white people that were living in Compton and Linwood and that surrounding area. There was, the Dodgers used to live out there. A lot of people don't know that history. There's so many famous jazz musicians that were very wealthy, lived in Compton. And, there's just all this rich history.
George Bush. I just found that out.
I did not know that. I know B.B. King's sister lived in Compton, and B.B. King was in Compton all the time because his sister was cooking up meals, and he was going over there to go pick it up and eat. And then other famous R&B singers, and it's just all that influence of people were recognizing that this is another area that we can all come into and be comfortable. And it literally drove the bad people out of the area that didn't understand that, hey, we're all human beings. We all wake up and sleep the same. We all eat shit and piss and go through life like, we bleed just like everybody else. And it's certain things that people get misconstrued because they feel like a certain thing's superior. And reality is, no, it's not. If you run into a situation and that's your day, it's your day. And people need to get over that shit. And, at that time, people were moving out of the neighborhoods because of certain things were going on. And then we look at today, you look at 10 years ago, they were moving people out of Compton, South Central to Lancaster to gentrify the neighborhood. And they were trying to get it back. And I'm just grateful so many people did not settle and move.
Yeah, that's we were one of those families. Like a lot of my homies moved to Moreno Valley, Rancho Cucamonga. Was an influx of black kids coming out there. And then when I got out there and I met the black kids that have been there that were listening to NWA and trying to be with some blood and Crip shit, I was like, y'all got whole ass fields and like parks you could go to with no problems. Like y'all don't really, like, you don't want to create this for yourself because you live in some apartments. Do you think this is the projects? Like,
no.
Like it's not it, bro. And the kids that I did meet that came with me, we were all on some cool shit. Like, what skateboards? What's that? Like, yeah, y'all got Your daddy built you a whole ass ramp? Yeah, come on. Like I was like looking all every opportunity I got. I was opening my eyes to like comic books, baseball cards. What's this? Y'all got a store where they only sell comic books and baseball cards? Like I only seen comic books at 7-Eleven or the liquor store if I was lucky.
Right.
You know, Toys R Us or something when I got to go. Like, so I'm like, man, I'm on this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, y'all want to listen to, you know, DJ Quick was dropping, and all the black kids that grew up in the valley were trying to emulate inner city. And I'm like, man, my parents brought me out here for a fucking opportunity, bro. You know, like this is, I can never but yeah, the white people there, I don't know, like they had no place to move when we get to Glendora, when we get to Rancho Cucamonga, and I don't know where those white people went, but you know, it just, you know, we went, there's still some of us in Compton. Now our community is all fractured. You know what I mean? There's not really a black community. You know, there is some in Palmdale, there is some in Rancho Cucamonga, the IE has a community, you know what I mean? But there's no history to it because we're all uprooted every 10, 20 years due to gentrification or something.
Right.
You know?
Right. You know, and then it's very hard to get to Baldwin Hills.
Yeah. Yes, it's hard, man. And we were, you know, I live in Inglewood, and that's like one of the few communities still left. You know, the Lamert, Crenshaw District, Inglewood, and I'm gonna try to stay as long as I can, man. You know, like because the stadium's going up, the Olympics is coming, the World Cup is coming. They are trying to get us out of here. And in Midtown, I seen it happen. Like I can't even afford to live where I grew up. You know,
and you know, just thinking about that, think about how everything that happened in Inglewood, everyone that lives in that surrounding area off of Prairie, you know, all their property values skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the biggest blessing to them, is because now, you know, there's ways to basically get that money and you know, utilize it to help build your property, whether it's refinancing and getting how much your stuff is skyrocketed in value, or just really just giving back.
Yeah, like hopefully there's some giving back. And you know, Mayor Butts got us over here with not being able to Airbnb our homes, which I understand, but I don't understand. You know,
right.
He doesn't want people coming. I've seen how it's destroyed the ecosystem in Hawaii, the economic system in Hawaii and certain other neighborhoods. But he has to realize that everyone in this neighborhood that owns a house is predominantly black. So we're not going to sell to somebody that's going to buy it just to Airbnb it. But it is a source of income. Like you said, we could refinance our homes, or black people can sell them. Or once black people realize that they can Airbnb, they're not going to sell. We'll Airbnb to the Russians that want to come over for the Olympics. That's a big check for a lot of us. So I haven't been to the city council meetings, but I plan on confronting them and asking them, you know, what is the reason they're stopping me as a black homeowner from profiting? Like, because I don't want to be here with the traffic either.
Come on.
You mean like most people who have a stadium in their neighborhood, people don't realize it. SoFi is a great thing, but you have 7 home games a year. We have 14 or 16 because we have 2 teams. So every fucking weekend there's a home game for 4 months. And you mean I can't rent out my house to a Denver Broncos fan for the weekend and get the fuck out of here with my kids?
Come on.
We got to be trapped in our house because of the traffic?
Why do you have to be limited to just parking as a profit?
Yeah, like I don't want to sell my house for parking. And I'm kind of like almost too far and not close enough, but I'm close enough to Airbnb and make $1,000 every weekend or a little more than that.
A lot more.
So I'm like, yo, like that's $16,000 that you're taking away from me as a homeowner because you're scared of predatory people. You're underestimating the intelligence of the black community here.
Come on.
We're not going to sell if we know I can refinance my home and make an extra 16 racks a year. That's not counting the concerts. That's not counting the Olympics. That's not counting the World Cup. World Cup is a couple weeks. And there might be a family. I have a family home. There are families that have family members in the Olympics. You want a family house close to the action? Here's a whole month.
Right.
What does that mean for me and my family? Is that an extra 20K that Mayor Butts decided to take all of my? So it's weird now that we have a pocket. What people and I'm sure he has his good reasons. I don't understand at his level. I'm not a part of city politics, so I'm sure that there may be a reason. I just don't understand it. But he's active. There's a black mayor. I'm active. we're here. And I don't want this to be the 80s where crack made everybody move, you know, or the 60s when they allowed us to start moving west to central, you know, like I don't want another 20-year mass exodus. I want to try to make some roots and build a community where I can say, your grandma lived there, your great grandma lived there, we lived here, you went to this school, we went to that school, you played ball here. Like I want to try to build something.
That's a grassroots of success. And that is something we don't see too much unless you go inside small towns where you have pioneers that take the time to build it. And that grassroots of success comes from within the people in the community that live there. And it's a challenge. We don't see too much success of that challenge. And when we do, we see a whole community arrive. And we need to put more attention to that because that's how we thrive. And it's so much effort in surviving in this day and age, not along with COVID, not along with talking about how much the price has gone up because of inflation. It's simply so much of a challenge to live that why is it everything so much of a greater challenge when I'm in an area I grew up in that is winning right now?
Yeah, and that I guess I seen that happen with Midtown. Like my mom was blessed to be a homeowner on the block, but all my homies that are renting, some of them, I won't say all, a lot of them, um, you got to post bail. Your kid gets sick, whatever, you can't pay rent. They raise the rent. Now you got to either pay your rent and move or move and bail your kid out and move into Section 8, or you know what I mean? There's all kind of things that were going on, or just your son's locked up and he was working, or he was he was moving work and putting the roof over your head. He got locked up. He got shot. Like all those things get worse. I've seen the crash unit go like, hey, yeah, such and such from Mansfield, such and such from Marvin. Oh, he been kicking it with the blah blah blahs now. Y'all better do something about that, huh? Why do you know that? I'll never forget Officer McCoy. I'll put him out there. I'll never forget him. I was like, bro, I seen him come into CJ's and tell my homie that. Like, oh, I see you over here with blah blah blah. It would suck if the blah blah blahs found out. Man, you should probably you should probably start moving on and blah blah blah. I'm like, bro, like that's literal harassment. And like the more the property value went up, the more I saw shit like that. The more the crash sweep started coming up. The more it's just more, the more active it got. Because the more active it gets, more people die, more people go to jail, more moms struggling to pay the rent, pay for funerals, and boom. And now Midtown is white. Now they lock off the alleys so no one can come through and bust at us no more on the porch. Now they put dividers in front of Roscoe's, in front of Pico and Pico. But when I was when I was in high school and everybody would go hang out there on the weekends, it was wide open. Somebody could bust, and it happened. Everyone knows every weekend, boom, and peel out, boom, peel out, boom. And now you can't do that. Why? Because the white people are there. But why wouldn't you put those dividers there and close off those alleys when we were there?
Come on.
To protect and serve us like you were supposed to.
Why aren't they doing it further east along, Venice, and Olympic and Pico? Like, why is it only restrained to certain areas?
Because when that property value goes up, then they'll put the divider in. Once all the people of color have killed themselves or put themselves in jail or financial peril, then when the white people move in, then they'll make them safe. They'll make it impossible. Because there's still enough of us to have funk and beef and be busting at each other, but now they'll restrict it. And so it's definitely a plan. And so I'm aware of it, and I hope it doesn't happen here in Inglewood. And I don't see it happen because this community has roots. Before I moved to a black block, where there are black homeowners. So I'm joining something. I'm not starting something. I'm helping anchor something, I hope.
I love how you put that. I'm going to just transition just a little bit and get back on.
Okay, let's go.
I feel it's always someone that invests in an idea or puts someone in a position to reach their dreams. Who do we owe to thank you for investing into your dreams?
Who invested in my dreams?
Yes, the sleepless dreams.
Sheesh. Man, I would say a lot of the fans. Definitely at the beginning, Mystic Journeyman. From the founders of Living Legends. Yeah, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some people. Walker Martin, who used to own Martin's Records on Pico, Bigger B in Orlando from Unity. Um, man, my little brother, who's always been my number one fan, my best friend Terry Smith. There's just people who really just pushed me and celebrated me and gave me honest feedback early on that kept giving me. And then, my mom didn't really support my career at first, but she instilled in me um, just, she loved me. So I didn't have to go out and show out. I knew someone loved me. And my family, my uncles, my grandfather, my grandmother, just instilling my family roots and hard work. And yeah, just, and God, man, like, what I'm saying? I would say that like a strong moral compass so that I didn't fall, because there's lots of pitfalls you could fall into. Once you do start to attain success, it's hard to get it. It's hard not to fuck it off,
Yes.
So once you get it, it was so hard to get it that you feel like, fuck it, I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna do, and that's when you start saying reckless shit and now saying reckless shit. Before you could say reckless shit and get away with it because it wasn't Twitter and it wasn't motherfuckers recording your every move. And every human being should be allowed that latitude.
Come on.
To speak their mind and live freely. And it sucks that social media has constrained so many of us to this lane where we have to say this and we have to do this and we have to be this all the time. And props to the artists that are saying fuck it and bucking it, because I'm doing the same. But yeah, it's hard not to fuck it off, man. It's really, you got to be mindful of your actions. And that's another reason I started Pay Dues, and I now work with a program called Ground Waves, where I could talk to MCs and be like, look, man, this ain't it. Like, don't do it. When my homie started snorting coke, I was like, is this it? Like, we just sold out a show in Seattle and motherfuckers want to do cocaine. Let's do it at the Grammys. Like, I'm like, let's, you know what I mean? Because there's, but it just, the more successful you are, the things that weren't available to you become available. And I don't judge anybody. I don't fault anybody. I'm just thankful that my mom was on my ass. And I'm thankful that my dad was, smoked out and cracked out and on cocaine and blah, blah, blah. And my mom being real with me, like, this is what your father did to not be a part of your life. So when those drugs started coming around, I was like, I could never, you know what I mean? But I slipped up with the alcohol. I slipped up and I was selling weed and I did take chances. So I'm not better than anybody. I'm lucky. And I'm glad my mother my family put, just Jesus Christ and God and spirituality in my life, because it gave me something to like haunt me, to make me feel guilty. You know what I mean? That moral compass has saved me multiple times from doing stupid, ridiculous shit. So those are the people you have, I think, to thank.
Rich Fresh told me a long time that the flesh wants to die, but the spirit will live forever. No, that is so deep, because as the more you feel your spirit, the more you continue to elevate in life. And the more you dig into the flesh and wanting to be interested in what the next person's doing and how it's perceived, your flesh continues to die. It doesn't grow.
Yeah, that's that feeding into the flesh, your root chakra, whatever you want to call it, your vibrational self, that is dangerous. You know what I mean? And it's also a part, I've seen homies that don't feed it at all. You don't feed your lower self and you break. It's like anything. You build up here, you're gonna collapse. And then they go full on into it. You know what I mean? So there's a balance. Like I said, like you can, you know what I mean? Maybe you can handle blow. I know I'm not, I'm genetically predisposed not to be able to handle it. I got homies that have and can bounce back. Also, I think it helps you create amazing music because it does things, you know what I mean? Shrooms, LSD, like there's all things, but what can you handle? It's all about balance. You can't be all good. If it was possible to be all good, Jesus wouldn't have had to die for your sins, if that's what you believe. If it was possible to be all good, there's nothing is all anything. As you become an adult, you realize that, you know what I mean? You love and respect your wife all the time, but you're not going to get along all the time. You're not fucking every night once you get married. That's not going to happen. That's not, you know what I mean? You're not even going to have the desire to some days. You're going to be so tired. You're going to be in a fight, but you know that it will pass. Overall, you're on a positive path. And that's what I try to tell rappers. Have fun, bro. You know what I mean? But I don't like to say everything in moderation, but it's just about balance. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to, everything's not for you. Like I can sip lean and put it down. If I had a drug of choice, that would be what I did. You know what I mean? After paid dues, after months and months of trying to, I couldn't sleep. I had lockjaw one time. I couldn't even eat a French fry. My jaw, I was so stressed out. After that, I had the homies come through, give me something, I pour up and just for a couple of days. But I know I could put that to the side. There's some people who try it and can't put it down. But you don't know until you experiment. Know yourself. And I think that's what the Muslim brothers preach that I love, that's outside of Christianity. I wish Christianity had more, was knowledge of self. Know yourself, because you got to feed your flesh. You starve your flesh, you're no longer here. Then you're in the spirit realm. You can't live in the spirit realm while you're here, but you do have to be mindful. You know what I mean? It's, to me, it's a balance. You gotta find out, you know, and when it's time to put it down. Like, I knew when it was time to stop drinking. I knew when it was time to stop fucking around. I didn't wait till I get married and said, hey, you know what? Now I'm gonna stop fucking all kind of girls. I was like, I want to get married, so I should probably try to do a whole tour where I don't fuck around. Without having a girlfriend, without having I just want to see, can I control myself before I commit myself to someone else? Don't try to be a parent and get your life together once you're a parent, once somebody's pregnant. Know that you want to be a parent and get your life together. And then once you have the hang of a routine and getting shit together and having a savings and owning something, maybe, then get someone pregnant. Then, you know what I mean? People always want to do the deed and then become the person. The deed doesn't make you the person. You could become the person before. I was just watching the Serena Williams preview trailer. Their dad, the Honorable, I'm gonna call him the Honorable Richard Williams, said, I had a 78-page document of their lives before they were even born. And look at those women from Compton.
Yes.
You know, and that is what it takes. You need to be more forward thinking and balanced. And your youth is to be young. I never want to ever, I had a lot of fun. I did a lot of wild and crazy shit. And I'm glad Instagram and fucking Snapchat wasn't around, because I might not be here. Y'all got it harder in other ways. You have it easier, because I wish I could post a flyer on the internet and let everybody see it and didn't have to stand outside a Busta Rhymes show in the rain, yelling at people, going like this. But at the same time, it's always balanced. You know what I'm saying? And so now y'all got to be on your fucking best behavior. And I sympathize with y'all. I feel for y'all. And I always say, that's why I did pay dues, because all the younger artists that were coming up, I got a chance to talk to them and they actually wanted to listen. That's why I started Groundways, where I mentor young rappers. And so any label, any rapper, you want to DM me and say, yo, I got a situation. I've either been through it or I know someone who's been through it and I got the knowledge for you. Please hit me up.
I love that, because you're paying it forward. You paid your dues and you're still paying it forward. I want to know, bro, what is something people got fucked up about the Paid Dues Festival?
Wow. Man, that's a difficult question. Some outlet posted something from an interview I said, and Murs says to get over it and blah, blah, blah. I like being a public servant, but I like to serve what I like. Pay dues was for the community, and to me, it does belong to the community. But I think the community needs to realize, like, I don't owe you anything. I didn't owe you pay dues to begin with, and now that it's gone, I don't owe you to bring it back. And when that tone comes off, when you're asking me in that tone, it's infuriating. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not evolved. Like I said, I'm balanced. Like I'm still a nigga from West LA. Like I don't talk to me like that, bro. Because that's why you'll get a hard answer like never, motherfucker. When's pay dues come back? Never. When I can hear the sincerity in it, but like when there's some entitlement to it, you build your own festival. You know what I mean? Like that's what I did. You can do it too. I think that's the only thing that I think people have misconstrued, is that I owe them another pay dues, that I owe it to the scene. No, you owe it to my children.
Yes.
To put on pay dues, whatever it's called. I owe it to you to buy a fucking ticket when you do. I'm buying tickets to Thought Fest. I'm buying tickets. I bought tickets to Camp Flognaw. I'll buy, whatever you do, I'll support it. You want me to come perform? I'll be understanding with the price. I'll work with you, whatever. If I can, I will. So that's what I think people got misconstrued, is that I owe it to them to continue this. I didn't owe it to you and to give it to you, and I don't owe it to you now. But if you miss it and it's genuine, I can accept. Like, man, I really wish you would bring. That's cool, but you know, like if I post my new album and you up under it asking about paid dues, bro, that's hella disrespectful.
Come on, come on. And you know, I feel like a lot of people have it fucked up is that your influence of paid dues really influenced so many other festivals. Because in 2006, there was only 2, 3 things going on. There wasn't other festivals. It wasn't something like every other week or month there was a festival name. And like we do now or 2019, it was, you know, a phenomenon. Everybody's doing a festival. In 2006, when you started this, there was no other festivals except for a tour that came along, and it wasn't designed to be a festival.
Yeah, I think that was it was very impactful, and maybe you know some people don't realize it. I always try to credit who influenced me. You know what I mean? Unless they've wronged me, and that's what I try. Like there's a lot of people I grew up on their music, and they were really assholes to me, and I didn't say their names as much coming up. Now I'm older and we're over it and shit. I don't give a fuck. But when I was younger, I was angry, and rightfully so. I was mistreated and disrespected. Um, but I didn't disrespect any of these people I influenced, and it's amazing to see how many of them don't mention or give me my credit. And that gets to me, but that's still ego, and I'm working on it. But it's that like that job review. You know, there's 10 pods. I got hundreds of thousands of fans, but I'm focused on these one, and I try to work on that every day and forgive people and move forward. But I really wish, like, I gave you the blueprint. I really wish you would say, "Yo, Murs, shout out to Murs, because I wouldn't have done this without him. I would, you know, he was a necessary step, or the concept for this song is based on, like, you know, I never get that, and that 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 bothers me, you know. But people know, the journalists know, history will know, and that's the thing is like with Hip Hop DX doing the breakdown, like I was put in a position, I was arguing with DJ Abilities because he was like, you think this, and this, and this, and this, and that's just your opinion. I was like, the fucked up part is I get flown out to universities. I get to write the breakdown. I get to write the books. So it will matter. Because it was, you know, it's like as a person from the suburbs or from St. Paul, Minnesota, your opinion on the best rappers in Compton doesn't really hold water. Yes, it does. It holds just as much as yours. I was like, maybe, but guess what? I'm writing the books. You know what I mean? I'm actually writing the editorials, the YouTube videos that kids are watching to learn the history. And so it does matter. My opinion does matter. And I try to take ego out of it and tell it like it is and tell it like it was. So that we can document the shit for real. And I love Abilities. And that's the thing about like hip hop arguments. But I'm very, very, very forward. And there's a very ego crazy argumentative thing to say to my brother at that moment. But I take that on a real level. I, you know, outside of that argument, I take it very seriously. And I do want to continue. That's why I do Groundways. Like I want to mentor the youth so they understand who was here first, what came before me, what came after me, what we did to pave the way during my era, and what they need to bring to come, what I'm charging them with going forward. Because I want to talk to these MCs because I have an 8-year-old that wants to be a rapper. I have a 3-year-old that probably is going to want to be a rapper. And what this 16-year-old MC or 18 or 23-year-old MC I'm mentoring now does directly affects my family and my culture. And so I care and I give a fuck. And I'm not just going to I'm going to give you my opinion and I'm going to give you the facts. And then from there, you can form your own opinion, but carry the facts forward.
Bars. Whew. There was just so much said of influence that I just, you know, if everyone watching, you got to be turbo and run that back, because it's just so much information that he peeled out and allowed everyone to absorb, because there's so much wrongdoing. You know, you can't watch a basketball game and hear a whole bunch of commentators that have never played basketball. It'll be boring, it'll be misinformation, and you won't have the facts. And, you know, they've learned that. And so they got more basketball players doing the announcing. And it's like, why aren't they continuing that same strategy for other markets like they do? Like, and it allows for 1 or 2 people to have that opinion, you know, of like, hey, I'm a genuine world fan, but you have this other outlook of, hey, you never lived this life. You don't even know what the air feels like. You don't even know what it smells like. So how are you going to give this whole thing? And I think that creates a great argument, and it allows a lot of information to be peeled out, because a lot of the time when we both know, we're not going to talk about it to be dummies or dumb down the situation. We're going to talk about it like we know about it and keep on moving. We ain't going to waste time on it. And a lot of the time, that's that misinformation that people lose in translation because they don't know anything about it. And you got someone that's saying A to Z, and they're talking about A and they're talking about Z. And then you got people like yourselves and so many others that have lived A to Z and can tell you about it backwards. And, you know, they could jump, turn their back and still say the alphabet backwards and know that they're doing it right.
Right. And those are the people who should be given a platform, along with the honest journalists. You know what I'm saying? People like yourself that have talked to, once you've talked to so many rappers and you study the game, you do have a valid opinion. Like I said, Abilities does not have a valid opinion. That was an extreme thing. You know what I mean? But because he's lived it too. You know what I mean? He's been out here touring and blah, blah, blah. But I think it's really important that the people who lived it get to document it. Even if we disagree, you know, like Shaq and Charles Barkley disagree like hell. You know what I mean? But when I listen to them argue, it's a whole bar. Like, it's just like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, what, I don't even know the white dude's name. Ernie knows to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, for real.
Ernie just kind of moderates, and even Kenny to a certain extent, because Kenny's been in the announcing game. I'm thinking longer than he's been in the NBA now. Not longer than he's played basketball.
In the NBA for sure.
He's been in the comment, and Charles and Shaq are bringing an energy that's unprofessional sometimes. And Kenny and Ernie I think it's a beautiful situation what TNT does. And you know, rap is not sports; it's an art. But because so many of us come from a sports-based competitive culture, is similar. And I think what I don't like is what I love. I won't say I hate leading with what I don't like. What I love is that Joe Budden stopped rapping and started giving his opinion. Mm-hmm. And I felt bad doing the breakdown when I was still rapping. That's kind of part of the reason I stopped doing it for Hip Hop DX. I was like, I don't feel good criticizing my contemporaries when I'm still contributing. And so I'm not gonna do that. But when I'm done, that's why I've also set a point where I'm going to stop, because I do maybe at that point feel like I can have some opinions and give some valid criticism if I choose to, and you know, have a podcast. So I applaud Joe for doing that, because that's the right way to do it, in my opinion.
Come on, no, I respect it. And you know, as someone, for you, it's 30 albums later, so. What is something you take from each performance you do? Because when you hit the stage, you have this uncanny ability to make everyone feel your energy. It's just so contagious that, you know, you were COVID before COVID.
Man, I guess the answer directly is I don't take anything. I leave it all there. Everything is there. You know, there's a lot of trauma and everything and anger that goes into it beforehand. Like my stomach, I still have to shit before I get on stage after 20 some years and over probably 2,000, 3,000 shows. Like I still get the BGs and I'm nervous. But when I get on stage, I've only been on stage with two people that I feel the same way as me. I feel like I'm in a fight. When I growing up, I fought a lot, and I have my pops was a violent person. I grew up in a violent household. If you consider like getting spankies, and that's the term now, but grew in inner city LA. I grew up in a violent neighborhood. You fight your friends and your friends again. You play tackle football. You slam your head into everything. So I'm a violent person, but I've learned to temper that. But when it's time to get on stage, that's the energy. I feel like I'm in a fight. I'm fighting against my stage fright. I'm fighting against my insecurities. I'm fighting against give me someone in the crowd that doesn't think I could rap. Oh boy, and that's the mindset I go into. Like, no one here thinks I can rap. Now I've gotten to the point of like, these people paid money. I got to put on a hell of a show when I'm at home. But most of the time, if I'm opening for somebody, it's the fight mentality. And I've been on stage with Dr. No and Daryl Jennifer from Bad Brains. And Dr. No if the Bad Brains moved to Woodstock, like Daryl Jennifer plays golf. He's a great musician. They're from Southeast DC, and Dr. No runs the organic produce store. So when I did an album called The White Man Dingles with Daryl Jennifer and my homie Sasha Jenkins, and we'd go to Daryl's house and we go see Dr. No at the fruit stop. He would make us a juice. The chillest dude. Went to practice to rehearse for them because we're doing Afro punk, and they were letting me cover a Bad Brain song. And I was like, all right, we're practicing. They're playing good. I got on stage with them. I had never seen I seen Daryl. Me and Daryl are performing. Daryl gets a serious face because they don't play. If you ever heard Bad Brains, you think it's just punk rock. Once you learn music, these motherfuckers are playing so fast and so hard and so accurate. It's phenomenal. So I looked at No. He looked at me. He said, we're in Brooklyn. He's like, you ready, nigga? And I was like, I had never heard him talk. And I was like, what? He's like, let's go. And I was like, I've never felt that energy on stage, and I feel like I'm unique in that. Like, and I'm sure there are other artists that feel that, but I feel like when I turn around and my DJs can see it, I kind of like, cuz, like, I'm like, yeah, let's go. And I'm like, and I can turn around and smile at the whole crowd, but the engine that's fueling it,
to release it.
Ferocious motherfucker, man. But everybody's like, you smile so much on stage. It's like, I love music. I love my music. I love music. I love people. And I love being able to share my joy with this. But the engine, it may look like a smooth car when it's on the road, but the engine is an angry, angry, angry motherfucker.
I've always said music is medicine, and it becomes a therapy. But I've never realized that in order for your capsule to be released, you got to be activated.
Yeah. Activate. I love that. That's beautiful, man.
My 3 favorite songs of yours. Okay. Number 1, I love God's Work off the End of the Beginning album.
Oh, thank you.
We're going back, but
I love it.
I got a chance to talk about my 3 favorites, so I'm going to go in. Number 2, Pain. I'm pretty sure, like everybody else, Pain is a huge, huge record for so many people, and it really gave you that chance to cross over to the commercial world, in my opinion. But off 316, the 9th edition, and Time Is Now, featuring Dog, Uncle Snoop Dogg, off Murs for President. I still think you should run for president. What are your 3 favorite songs of yours that you have done?
Wow. First of all, I'm talking about this and knowing that you're a fan like that and you're in Bakersfield.
Oh, I was born in LA, bro.
Yeah. It just makes me think. I thought you were. But Bakersfield was one of the first times the energy I feel when I'm telling you about, I felt that back from the crowd and I didn't know how to act. The first time I did Fish Lips in Bakersfield, I was like, I feel like I could get fucked up. But they were so aggressively in love with my music or in love with me. I had never felt that energy back at me. And it kind of scared me and threw me off. I'm like, do niggas want to fight? Or they just, we love you, Holmes. I was like, okay. And it was like, I never gone back and forth. But I'm sure we come from similar backgrounds somewhere. Our energies are similar. In that moment, it's just funny you say that. And I know that I have a lot of hardcore fans in Bakersfield and I love them. But back to the point, thank you. Those 3 songs are some of my favorites. Man, the battle that I recently did on what is it called? Brighter Days with Ninth Wonder. It's one of my favorite raps I've ever done. I've always been trying to do something comparable to a song called Common has called Hungry. I strike the mic like an armor, bomb a nigga like a winter coat, leave him on death row, skirting for an interscope. Yet I sparkle like Irene Cara, symbolize dope like sirens do terror. Mary Lou just had a baby, someone else decapitated. Flashbacks of past racks make me so glad I made it. Players is getting traded. I drop a gem on them whose style is graded. Shit is so banging, nigga say it's gang related on philosophy's rink of thought. I've skated. Anyway, that song is just one long verse. And so I finally felt like with the battle, I had something comparable. Like lyrically with metaphors, it's not the same, but the energy is the same. So I like that. A song I have called Midtown with John Gibbs, because I've always wanted to do it and I still didn't do it perfect. I took out some shit that I should have kept, but I love that song. And then probably everything on Murs for President. Just because if there's a song that encapsulates who I am or tells my story the best, it's everything.
You know, as I'm hearing you talk about your records and specifically how you just broke that down, I think about when I spoken to 40, E40, shout out Uncle Earl.
Yeah, my favorite rapper, greatest rapper of all time, in my opinion. God bless that man.
Come on. And something he is, and I feel it's just like you guys are perfectionists. And you guys will definitely battle yourself on, hey, I think this is the one, and then you'll write another one or think of something differently, and then you'll swap it out. And then you'll and it's just a battle within yourself of like, man, I know that one was better. And then you really don't know until the record comes out and it's received. But it's just like, how many of those moments have you been through? Because I for sure wanted to ask E40 that. Like, bro, how many moments have you taken off a verse that you know is gonna be a hit, but you said this verse is harder, and then it went okay?
It went okay. Yeah, for Midtown, it wasn't a verse, it was just the shout outs at the end. And I was just shouting out all the homies, and I thought, but yeah, I beat myself up. Yeah, I don't know if, yeah, I've taken some verses off, man. Yeah, it's a hard battle. For me, it's also my delivery. My biggest hurdle is my rhythm and my timing is off. I'm rhythmically challenged. So I'll be in here and I didn't hit the, like, that's like, people want to work with Dr. Dre because I know he pays well and he's famous. I want to work with Dr. Dre because I've seen the rappers. When you go in the studio with Corrupt or Dog, it's different from going in with other rappers. Exhibit, when you see these other artists work, and it all comes from Doc. To me, that's the only, I don't know because I haven't done it, but that's the only thing I can say. And so I've always wanted to work with Dr. Dre for that reason. So that, like, all the shit where people say, he'll have you in there doing the verse 50 times and blah, blah. I want that in my life because to me, he makes the greatest West Coast rappers of all time and some of the greatest rappers of all time. So that I have to be my own Dr. Dre, and I'm still not there.
You know, we can't be perfect people, but we can have perfect actions. And Dr. Dre knows what perfect looks like, especially when it comes to this West Coast sound, the syllables, how it should come out. I mean, he's a GOAT in his own right. And, it's beautiful that you also recognize the influence because, I wouldn't have thought that you gave so much attention to, to the big gods.
Yeah, and that's my thing. Is like, I'm not a beat person, bro. I don't know music. That's why it's hard for me to stay on beat. But production, like working with Quick, hearing the legends of Dr. Dre, Puffy, like these are people that Quincy Jones, George Clinton, like producers who like get in and change things. Like when someone told me George Clinton doesn't play an instrument, I was like, what? He just puts the right people in the right room and he says, say Atomic Dog, and we're gonna go bow, wow, wow. Okay, y'all three do this, and y'all like Quincy Jones, like arranging like Thriller, and like these are elements that are left out of hip hop. And that's why I'm glad I found Ninth Wonder, because Ninth Wonder is a producer. But Ninth Wonder is, contrary to Dre, is more a feeling person. A lot of stuff on 316 is one take. I would lay it and he'd be like, that's it, don't touch it. I'm like, like we just talked about being a perfectionist, and he'd be like, nope. And we fought, we argued, like yelling, grown men yelling at each other. But I always defer, like I know how to follow orders. I'm like, I came to work with you, so I'm gonna trust your opinion. I was so unhappy with my performances on 316, I didn't want to put out the record when I left North Carolina. I hated it. And I gave it to LP, and LP's like, we're putting this out. This is the best record you've ever done. And it turned out to be right. And that's why you need a great producer like Ninth Wonder or DJ Quick or Shock G, God bless him, or Dr. Dre. And I'm sure Eric Sermon and Pete Rock and all these people are great, not just beat makers. You know what I mean?
Yes, there's a difference between a beat maker and a producer, and I'm happy you pointed that out because so many people think they're a producer, and it's like, nah, bro, you make great beats. There's nothing wrong with your beats, but you're not a producer, and that's okay.
You're a musician, and that's great.
Come on.
I need a producer when I'm working, but I'm getting to the point where I'm pretty good at producing myself. But I would like to. I've worked with, me and Knife have done 7-8 albums. I've worked with him more than any artist on earth. So like what he's telling me lives in me now, you know what I mean? But I'd like that Dre experience or Puffy experience or whatever, like one of those, a more polished producer to give me that side of it. Cause then I feel like I'd finally be balanced, but maybe I'm not. Like, I feel like Will.i.am is more my Dr. Dre. You know what I mean? He's raw, pure energy. Like from the day I stepped foot in this LA scene, everybody was like, "Oh, you like Lil Will 1X?" Or they would call me like Will, and I'm like, "That's not me," because he was a weird thrift store wearing nigga that would be in the hood. Like niggas knew him for being left, but still being Will's a nigga. Like he's from the hood. You know, he's from the projects. And so he's been like my blueprint, my more direct Dr. Dre. Like, you know what I mean? Like, cause you know, you can't fuck with a Black Eyed Peas performance. Say what you want about the music or whatever, but that energy, that showmanship, that and the way he thinks in his business mind, and man, he's someone I admire greatly. So like I feel like I got that side of it down, you know what I mean? But you know what I'm saying? I think I would love to do an album with Dre or Will at this point, because they're two to me the West when it comes to producing, arranging, concepts, like putting together, you know, like Fergie, like that's a product of Will I Am.
Come on.
You know what I mean? Like Pharrell had Khalees. I feel like that was the thing, like Pharrell and Khalees, Will and Fergie, Timbaland and Nelly Furtado, and it was just like, you know, and Timbaland had Aaliyah. Like I think like Timbaland and Pharrell and Will, like they just don't get enough. Like you said, they're not just beat makers. Like they make stars, and like, you know, and not that those people aren't talented, not to take anything away from any other artist. I just think it's, you know, it's a perfect time because it's perfect synergy of those artists.
Yeah.
But they've been able to do it for multiple people, multiple times.
Yeah, and that's a track record. You know, back in the 60s and 70s, when you signed to Motown, you spent 6 months in artist development before you even got announced that you're signed. And you know, you went through this training camp, this boot camp, so that when you got out there, you didn't make this label that put the money behind you look bad. And you know, that art of it is forgotten, and it's picked back up when you can, when you have great A&Rs, great producers, great mentors or friend tours, as you said earlier. And it's rare that you get to build a relationship with someone in the game and you could actually transfer the heat from business to friendship. And it's rare because so many other people want something from you instead of being for you. And a great friendship is for you.
From you, not for you. Yeah, I think that's, you know, and that's a privilege of I had meet Ninth Wonder when I did. Like I didn't really want anything from him. We wanted to do something, make something for the people. Like we want to do something for each other. And you know, like I've said like many times, like I don't know if me and Ninth Wonder are great friends, but we're brothers. Like you build a brotherhood. Like when you create something together over a certain amount of time, that's family. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure, you know, Dre and Snoop have it, or different people have it. You know what I mean? And maybe it's just me and Ninth, but like, because we went all the way. Like he knows my family, I know his family. Like I'm holding his kids. You know what I mean? Like we eating cereal with the babies. Like and when we're creating art, we're living with each other, and we want to see each other win more than anything. But you know, it's just different.
That's a genuine blessing.
Yeah, and we can argue. That's the thing, is like arguing and not being able to fall out.
That's being brothers.
Yeah, that's why we're not friends to me. Because we said some things where we wouldn't be friends no more. You know what I mean? We can leave the studio hot. All right, man, I'll pick you up tomorrow. Because he always drops me off at the hotel. You know, and I didn't think the last time we recorded just get a fucking Airbnb. That would have been easy. But we you know, the same residence in Raleigh, and no matter what we argued about in the studio, all right, man, I'll pick you up tomorrow, and you'll be right there in the morning. And it's just we go, you know, like I guess like too, like a brother, like a dude you work with on, you know, doing construction. Like I got a lot of homies do, you know what I mean? You carpool with somebody, you go out on a truck, y'all might not get along all day, but y'all got a job to do. And you come home and y'all go your different ways, and y'all back in the truck at 4 a.m. the next day. You know what I mean?
Come on, literally.
The job is, and that's what I love about Ninth. He's like, hip hop is bigger than us. Like we got a job to do. All this can't get in the way of the job.
I shoot music videos, and we're getting ready to head to San Diego after this interview. And I ride with this guy named Cac from Little Rock, Arkansas. And like, he's Southern, and he's a Southern boy. Like he has that hospitality and love, but he will pop it off. And we have like, I'm very calm and subtle, and we mix so well. I smoke, he smoke. The director doesn't smoke. He in the backseat. We in the smoking section. It's just a whole vibe. And having that camaraderie and being able to argue with each other. Like we'll argue on what producer can make someone a hit, or which feature would you invest to make your artist somebody, and what areas can you win at, and we'll get into arguments. Who's qualified to come to the table? And we have that type of camaraderie, and that thing is so valuable that people forget about. That's the whole point of relationships, is to have that level with people that you can grow and bend and continue to grow.
Yeah, that's what I've always liked to, and I don't give a fuck how come I've always liked to work with married men, because those are people who have compromised, who know how to fight and come back to the job, because your job is raising these kids. Your job is keeping this household. And you can argue about this and who said what, but what are we doing for the bigger, greater good? And I know that when I've dealt with married men, it's always good. When I deal with motherfuckers who are single and been single a while, it's difficult. It's more challenging for me. And maybe that's just because I'm a married man and they say I've been oppressed or whatever, and I don't know how to be free anymore, whatever it is. I know that before I got married, I was like, do I want to get married? And I was like, everyone that I look up to and want to be like, that's 40, 50 is married. None of the homies I look up to are single. There's people I like, but when I say, oh, I love him, I love his kids, I love, what he's doing right now with his life, it wasn't nobody that was single. And I was like, okay, like that's a reason, not the only reason. It can't be the only reason you get married, because it still might not work for you.
Right.
But I like dudes who have been married or are disciplined. Skaters are another, because you just gotta have a discipline where like, we could fall down, I could try this, but I'm gonna try it again, and not quitting on something, no matter how difficult it gets. And those are the people you want to ride with.
Come on, because they'll keep you honest and going. Hey, brother, you have made it through the show, and before we close out, the floor is yours. Run up what you want to run up, put attention to what you want to attention to, put the spotlight on what it needs to be on. Do your thing.
Man, Murs and DJ Fresh present Love and Rockets 2 is out. It's on mursraps.com. It was an honor and privilege to work with Fresh. He's a fucking legend.
DJ Fresh.
He never gave up on making an album with me, and he was extremely humble. As many times I shot him down and high-sided on him and pushed him to the left, he always came back and had his respect for me and wanted to work with me, and I'm grateful. So that proves me wrong. He's not married. He was great to work with. But he is a great father.
He is married to
the game. But he knows how to sacrifice and make compromise, because he does it for his children on a regular basis. So that's another quality that helps when we work with people. Yeah. Just knowing where to put your ego aside. People who know how to sacrifice, and he knows that. So yeah, mursraps.com. The album is free, or you can get vinyl and CD, and it's signed, and we got merch. Show coming up is in Dago, since you're going to Dago on the 28th with Fresh Art Records, me, MC8, Planet Asia, Audio Fly, Fashion, Mitchie Slick. It's a banger. West Coast greats. Bishop Lamont, all celebrating the Gathering album produced by Sel Veterano on Fresh Art Records. So that's August 28th. I think they're close to selling out. I was like, there weren't very many tickets, so don't think that. Hopefully COVID don't shut it down, and don't think that. Get your ticket now, it'll get refunded. If you're one of these people that's worried about the world getting shut down, like we kind of all are right now, get your tickets and worry about the rest of that shit later, because it's going to sell out August 28th. And yeah, other than that, man, we got a new video on Murs and Retrograde, the second single from Love and Rockets 2. Run that up. It's actually doing way better than the DLC our first single did. I don't know why, but hey, I'm barring up on there, and we got more in store. We're still working this album. And who knows what the future holds, but make sure, go to mursraps.com and Murs316 on Instagram. And I'm every day on Twitch, Monday through Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. if I'm not rapping and on tour. I'm freestyling and playing rap videos on Twitch, twitch.tv/MURS.
Now, Murs, I gotta know, because if you notice my show is different, it's unique. They said over there I gotta have segments. I'm like, I'm gonna do segments, but I'm not gonna do segments like y'all. I'm like, I'm gonna close out and I'm gonna keep the same energy. You know, the viewers knows it's coming. I'm gonna hit you with it. You got any questions for me?
Oh man. Yeah, I'm gonna ask you, what part of LA did you grow up in?
So I was born in the Valley, and then I was raised all throughout. So like Van Nuys, Panorama City, and then I was raised throughout LA, Hollywood, South Central, on the East Side, like Broadway and Century area, and then like I've worked in Compton and Bompton, so and then back and forth to Bakersfield.
Bakersfield. How long you been in Bakersfield?
I did high school here, junior high, and then I married my wife from high school, and that was 2014. We got married, and I've been back since '09. So '09 to now, it's been 12 years.
12 years. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm trying to actually, to be honest and transparent, I'm trying to move back to LA just because, opportunities are a lot more accessible when it's in your backyard versus a 2-hour drive. Like we do the 2-hour drive every day, like 6 days a week. I take a day off for the family no matter what.
Wow. 6'2", that's a commitment, bro. Yeah, but it's just, then that's the part of we were talking about with gentrification and the cost of living going up. Like, it's like, how does somebody with a wife and children like move when your industry is down there? It should be way more accessible. But that also goes into the music industry should be more equitable and to make it accessible for people that want to work. Because if you did as much work as you did and as much work as you put in to the music industry, if you did that in any other industry, your compensation would be a lot more, just a lot more, you and this is such a, there's luck involved. There's just a lot involved in getting what you deserve, man. So I really hope and pray. I'll pray for your family that you get to make those moves that make it right, because I can tell from your questions and the way you carry yourself that you're committed to excellence in this culture. So hopefully the game will pay you back. It usually does, you know what I'm saying? If you stick with it long enough and do the right thing, it'll work out for you. And I'm really glad I did the interview. Definitely one of the best interviews I've ever done. I'm really grateful for your time.
Well, no, that's phenomenal. Whew, you almost got me speechless, and I got to close out. Now that's a struggle because I'm very rarely speechless, but you just hit me with something, boy, oh boy. And and something I do want to tell everybody is that the music game, the entertainment game, it's all about what you negotiate. And if you're not a good negotiator, get someone that is, or you're gonna be a hard one. On that note, it's Contrast Cut. It's season 5, episode 16. I got to give a huge shout out to Uncle Snoop's Army and Bobby D Presents. I wouldn't be able to do incredibly dope shit like interview Murs and have this brother drop gems, drop diamonds, talking about the size of his old school was on here, the size of these gems. And this brother let them things fly. He was so transparent and his energy was so evanescent that I can make cars change colors with his energy. I appreciate you so much, Murs, for coming on here and rocking with me and the viewers and the listeners. Thank you. Blessings. Thank you, brother. Blessings.
Appreciate you, Zalo. Hope to see you soon in real life.
Come on. You know it. That would be a blessing on blessing shit. Back in the day, Living Legends came to UC Santa Barbara and you guys were doing a studio session with random people because you guys got booked for a show. And a couple of my friends went and I couldn't figure out where you guys were at. So that's the sidebar that, I spent a whole night being drunk, going from door to door and being told, what am I doing at their door? Because I was trying to find the Living Legends studio session that was at someone's house in DP. But I'm just talking about the past.
And DP?
Yeah, DP is like the ocean part of in Santa Barbara or in Goleta.
Okay, what year was this?
2008.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't on tour with him. I was like, I don't remember. I remember we used to try to raid the HIV. The Isla Vista, is that off? Is that
the IV? Yeah. The main street, like the main street is called DP.
Okay, yeah. So we would definitely, was it Freebirds?
Freebirds, fuck it up.
Yeah, we would fuck up Freebirds and just run rampant through every party we could in the IV, bro. That was it after Santa Barbara shows. Woo.
Hell yeah, Isla Vista, and it's Del Playa, DP
Del Playa, DP.
Oh yeah, no, fun times, fun times. Shit, trust me, I was working for a liquor company as 18, 19 years old, throwing parties, and they didn't know I wasn't 21, and it was the best time of my life, and I still didn't graduate college.
That's what we were talking about. When you're young, be young.
Come on, live your best life. And then when you settle down, shit, bro, I really don't drink anymore. And I really drank so much. I just smoke and chill and do my job, be a husband, a father, and run the businesses that I have been blessed to be a part of.
Man, I appreciate you, bro, man. And hopefully I continue to stay aligned with you on your come up.
Come on, come on. I'm gonna definitely let Vic know I'm trying to be a part of more shit, but that's just a sidebar.
For sure. Yeah, let him know.
I appreciate you, King, and I can't say that enough. Like, you know, it's like damn near a childhood dream being able to chop it up with you and having these type of conversations and going back and forth. And it was organic. And
Yes.
that's something that, you know, people panic because they can't do it.
Oh man. All right, man. I'm about to put these kids to nap. I know you got to go to Dago.
Yeah, I'm already like 30 minutes late, but I'm gonna say I was talking to Murs. Damn it. Hey, blessings.
Peace, hello.
Peace.